Welcome to the AI Automations for Business podcast. We're your hosts, Katie and Noel, and we'll be discussing how you can use AI for your business along with the latest news, updates, and automations to help you stay ahead of the curve, allowing you to grow and scale your business more efficiently. Please be sure to subscribe, and I hope you enjoy this episode.
Hello, welcome to another episode of AI Automations for Business. I'm Katie. Hi, hello.
Hello, I'm Noel.
So today we are going to be talking about DeepSeek versus, if you want, ChatGPT, OpenAI versus Claude, and which platform does what, and maybe what platform is going to be the best for you and your business.
Absolutely, yeah. There's so many different bits and different features within each. Yeah, so it all depends on what you require. So yeah, there's lots of choice.
Okay, so to get started, which one shall we start with now?
I think we should probably give a very quick overview of what's been happening. I think before we jump right into that.
Okay, back it up.
It's all gone crazy in 2025. You know, I think we're now 6-7 weeks in, and it's all completely changed from the end of last year. So for those who haven't noticed it, even Donald Trump's been mentioning it quite a bit recently. There was a new model from China called DeepSeek that came out, and I was testing and having a go with that pre-Christmas, and then now we're in the new year, it's gone absolutely crazy. And that's really spurred the likes of OpenAI and ChatGPT to do different things and to bring things out a lot quicker. And mainly because this Chinese model is like so much cheaper and kind of does the same thing that ChatGPT can do, but also maybe even slightly better in some areas.
By cheaper, do you mean cheaper to subscribe? Like to have a subscription to? Is that what you mean?
Absolutely, yes. So for OpenAI, you need to pay $20 a month. That's their entry fee. You can have a free account, but with DeepSeek, there isn't a subscription-based platform. It's you put in $2 as a minimum, and I've been using it for about 5-6 weeks now, maybe 7 weeks. I've used like 63 cents.
And how much have you used it? Like, so how much is 63 cents? That's US cents as well, isn't it?
Yeah, so I've used it a lot. So I use it for things like AI agents and things like that. So it's producing long instruction outputs. It's been producing all kinds of stuff. So I've been using it for social content, scraping websites and getting all the data and reviewing all the data. So I'd say, I've not been asking it one or two word questions. I've been really hitting it hard. And it just don't seem to be getting through that $2 at the minute.
Okay, yeah. A massive difference then.
Oh, huge. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I guess we should probably go back to our pro-con list. And now we understand what's really driving it. And it's the Chinese that are kind of pushing it and are making people push things out quicker and then making them a bit cheaper, because some of the products in OpenAI they're quite expensive.
Did you I'm sure you said to me something like last week that, so obviously for ChatGPT there is a free version, and obviously it's just like a limitation on how much you can use it before it kind of like times you out. And then there's a paid subscription, isn't it? And at the moment, it's $20. Am I correct in saying that they are going to be lowering that monthly subscription?
There is rumours that they'll look to halve that subscription.
And is that because of DeepSeek?
Yeah. I think recently there wasn't really that much competition in the market. So things like OpenAI and Claude, the Anthropic Claude, they're all kind of priced very similar and offer a similar sort of thing. And then once DeepSeek came in and then undercut them by a hefty margin, it kind of, everyone was like, hold on a minute, why am I paying all of this money to these guys when I could get that somewhere else for the fraction of the price? So that's going to start driving the competition, and it'd be better for us consumers in the long run, I think.
Okay, perfect. So let's jump in then with pros and cons. Let's do a pros and con list for each one. So what one do you want to start with, Noel? Do you want to do?
Yes. Yeah, I'll do ChatGPT / OpenAI. So I think with these guys, they've been going obviously for quite some time now, and they're very well established. But one thing I really like about OpenAI is they see these sort of problems. So with DeepSeek coming out, they've accelerated their offering, and they've released models probably 2, maybe 3 months earlier than what they should have done. Or what they were initially planning to. So at the end of last month, we got access to O3 Mini, which you can only get if you get a paid account, and that's kind of like it's getting there towards like an advanced reasoning model, and it's the next step up from their O1 model. But they've also got other things. So they've got an AI agent. So you could sit in on the ChatGPT interface and then say, can you book me a table at this restaurant for 6 people on this date? And then it will just go off and it will open up like a browser within ChatGPT. And you can, if you wish, you could sit there and watch it, and it will go through all the clicks. And then once it gets to a point and it says, well, I need to pay or confirm, it will send you a message and go, are you happy? And then you just go, yep, happy with that. And it just does it. It's incredible.
Okay. So far we've got newer models, connects with AI agent. What else?
So they've also got, I guess another model I should probably mention is also their deep research. That's kind of, you've got to have a pro account for that, and we'll come into that in the cons in a minute. But what that does is you can say, let's say you were doing a science paper for like a university or something. You could say, this is the task, what are the different things, and and it will go off and it will do that research, and it will take minutes to do it. But once it comes back, it'll have it'll give you all of its reasoning, and then it will give you like this massive output, all with links and quotations. So yeah, you could go, right, okay, you could read a bit and then go, right, well, what does that source look like? You can click on that, open the source, and then go, right, okay, that's valid, so I can keep that in. And it's going to be incredible. That
I'm actually going to put that down as a pro and a con, because I actually saw a TikTok, I think it was only yesterday, and it was a student, and it looks like at university. They were in like this big like lecture hall, this lecture room, and this lecturer, university professor, tutor, whoever it was literally kicking off to the whole of the class. And I think she had like examples of a couple of the students' work up on, like on their, interactive board, basically saying like, and screaming at them, you've been using ChatGPT and she was like using this language, and she was like, I can tell because it's all really shit and it's all just a copy of one another.
Yeah, it's all absolutely, yeah. What I would say to them is they should have engineered the prompt better to make it sound more like them.
Okay, so new models, AI agents, deep research, anything else for a plus with ChatGPT / OpenAI?
I think for anyone that's like new to this sort of space, I think it's also a low barrier to entry. It's just like doing a Google search when you start using ChatGPT. So I would say like the technical skills you would need to know. I mean, you've probably heard of prompt engineering, but really with ChatGPT, you don't really need to know that to get started. So I would say it was really straightforward to do. Yeah. And they've got they've got a video generator, you can create images. They've kind of got everything at the minute, They've got so many different things. Like the run up to Christmas, they released like a load of products for 12 days leading up to Christmas. That was crazy, the things that they were bringing out there. So yeah, okay. Interesting to see what they do this year.
Okay. What about the cons for OpenAI ChatGPT?
So the biggest con for me is probably the price. So like we said, the initial price as of right now is $20. That gets you per month, yes, that gets you the plus account. So with that, you do get access to all the additional models. So on the free account, you won't see things like O3 Mini and things like that. They won't be on there. But with the plus account, they are there. And you also get some of the features as they come out a bit quicker. Yeah, paying, but yeah, you do get some things a little earlier. But they've also got a team plan as well. basically you can, that's $40 a month currently. So you could have multiple people using the same ChatGPT interface and working together and things like that. So there's that option as well. But I think the one that really annoys me is their Pro plan, and that's $200 a month.
Wow.
Which is crazy. But what they do get is they get all of the really cool stuff months in advance of everyone else. So like deep research and the AI agent, they've been using that now for a couple of weeks. Whereas, us paupers on the Pro plan, we got to wait for weeks and weeks to get that sort of thing. So
Do you mean the Plus account, not the Pro plan's the 200 one?
it is, yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Plus, you mean the Plus account?
Yes. Yeah. Sorry.
Okay, just clarify that. Yeah.
Yeah. See, I would definitely put that as a big con. But I think on the automation side as well, is I would say that the models from OpenAI are harder to control.
Okay.
And that's kind of a big negative, because the things I was always coming up with is when you're automating something, you want a consistent output every single time it runs. Whereas I my prompts, they're pretty robust. As every now and then, I don't know, 10, maybe 15% of the time, even though I've said, do not give me any sort of reasoning, I would get oh, here's your thing about this. And it's like, oh, just read the instructions. So I do find them a lot harder to control from an automation perspective.
Yeah, so sometimes it listens to you, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very selective.
Perfect. Okay. So let's move on to the next one. Do you want to do DeepSeek or do you want to do Claude?
We'll do Claude next. Yeah.
Okay, so what are the pros for Claude?
So I guess to start with, Claude's very similar to OpenAI. So they've got a chat interface and things like that. It looks nowhere near as good as the ChatGPT interface.
So that's a con for...
Yeah. It's almost these websites sort of look. Yeah, it's a bit weird.
Love that.
But what I'm finding a bit weird right now is Anthropic, who run the Claude models. They've been very quiet. So yeah, I don't really know what's coming up next. And the models that we've had currently they've probably had them for about 8 to 10 months now. Some of them, they're very good models, but yeah, we're still waiting on what they're going to do, because, the likes of OpenAI are going crazy and then pushing everything out, and then Anthropic are just sat there and they've done nothing and said nothing. So I don't know if they're going to wow us within the next few weeks.
I would like to think that's what they're doing. They're kind of just keeping quiet and go, guys, just like, you wait, I've got something really amazing coming out.
Yeah. The way their models work or the naming convention currently is really straightforward. So I find OpenAI can be quite tricky in terms, you've got GPT-4o, O3 Mini, O3 Mini High, and then there's all kinds of different, they got O1 Preview, and there's, so which one does which? A big pro with Claude is they just kept it simple. So they have what they call Haiku, which is like the cheapest model. So it's not as good at solving problems or maths and things like that. So it's not as good for that, but it's good enough. And when you're using it via the API and have been using it in automations, that Haiku model's really cheap and really effective. And then the next one up from that is Sonnet. So that's that at the minute, the Sonnet levels, the best that we've got currently. So we've got 3.5 Haiku and 3.5 Sonnet. We've had those for months. And Sonnet's amazing. It's really good at reasoning. It actually does a better job than OpenAI of sounding like a human. So if those students in that classroom had maybe used Claude, they probably would have got away with it. It just gets it. So you could just say, stop talking like an AI and just talk like a person. And it just gets it. It does it. And then the third level is what they call Opus. But 3.5 Opus has never come out.
Maybe
There's no...
It's what they're sitting on.
I hope so. It's been so long. But they're great models. They're really easy to use. And I would also say these guys, they're also like a fairly low barrier to entry in terms of use, because they've got that chat interface and things like that. So yeah, they're very good.
Okay, so what about the cons then for Claude? So you said that it's a 90s website look. Model hasn't been updated for some time, but
it's all right.
Maybe something bigger's come in. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Trying to think of some more cons for those guys. I know. I do lovely. I use Claude all the time for my automations. Another pro for these guys is if you use it in an automation sense, it understands the instructions and it gets it right every single time. So that's why I always use it within my automations. Even though there's cheaper stuff out there, I'd rather it just do it.
Okay. All right. So let's move on to the new kid on the block. Let's talk DeepSeek.
Yeah.
So go for it.
So I guess the initial pro is the price.
Okay.
That's actually one thing we didn't mention about Claude. They do have paid tiers. They're not as expensive as OpenAI. I think it's $20 is the first paid account. And they don't have a crazy $200 one either. So there's a pro. Another one.
Okay. You love Claude.
Turns out I do, yeah. Anyway, DeepSeek. So DeepSeek's really cheap. And like I was saying, I've been using it for ages and I've only used like 43 cents of my account. So yeah, it's insane. But at the minute, there's only two models. So you've got a chat model and a reasoner model. And the chat model's a bit like your standard ChatGPT kind of thing. You know, you ask it a question, it'll answer it straight away. And then the reasoner model will analyze your question, no matter how small. Even if you just said, hello, how are you? It would then go through the reasoning and then go, well, that's a polite, greeting. Maybe I should greet this way. And then you can see within the model, it then goes, well, here's 5 responses that I could send back. And then out of that 5, and then it goes, I'm going to pick number 3. And then it sends number 3 through. So you can see all of that there, which is quite clever. Yeah. But yeah, the reasoner model is really good at solving like complex problems or producing like complex instructions and things like that. So I use DeepSeek for my AI agents. What I do in my agent is the first step is it goes through DeepSeek and then I go, right, here's all the sub-agents, here's what they do, create the tasks and all that sort of stuff. And it does a fantastic job of it. But yeah, it's super cheap, super clever, and yeah, it's really rocked the market. Yeah, another pro is you can also host it locally, so you could install it onto your computer and use it for free.
Wow.
Using your own hard drive, GPU and all that sort of stuff. You can just host it locally, or there's some automation tools that you can host either on your computer or on a server, and then you could add it to that as well. So it then puts it into your automations and all that's free as well. Yeah, that's a nice pro. I guess the elephant in the room and the biggest con is, well, why is more like what are Chinese people, what the government, like, what are they doing with my data? What are they doing with the questions that I'm asking? No one knows. So it's kind of tricky. Is like, what sort of information would I trust DeepSeek with?
Is that why the American government have this issue with it?
Yes. Yeah. I read it the other week, a few days ago, was that they were going to bring out a law where if you were caught using DeepSeek, you would either be fined $1 million or you get 20 years in prison.
Well, this is in America, obviously.
Yeah. And then if you were a business in America caught using DeepSeek, then you would be fined up to $100 million. So I think they're trying to force people not to use it and make it unusable, because it is a bit of a threat. But the things I ever use it for is only like instructional stuff or things that aren't sensitive.
Okay. So one of the cons then is we don't know what's happening with the data.
Definitely, yeah.
Okay.
And it's always under a cyber attack at the minute as well. So there's a con. It's always down at the moment.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So for someone who's just getting into using AI, you would probably recommend, I'm guessing, ChatGPT.
Yes, as beginners, definitely. But there's a lot of variety in there.
Yeah, and then someone who's a little bit more advanced and wants to use it for AI automations, obviously it's your beloved Claude. I'd just like to point out at this point, this podcast has not been sponsored or endorsed by Claude.
No, definitely.
All of these opinions are of Knowles and Knowles alone.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I can't help it. It's just so good.
Okay, so we have just given a ton of information. So I feel like let's take a pause on all of these pros and cons with Claude, DeepSeek and ChatGPT. And I'm sure we'll be digging into more of these platforms on future episodes, but just kind of like, a summary. ChatGPT, great for low entry point for someone who's just starting out. Claude is great for
everything.
Okay, automations, reasoning and sounding like a human, but the model hasn't been updated for a while. And DeepSeek, it's great because it's cheap, but just be careful what information you are putting into it. Nothing sensitive, because we don't know what's happening with the data, and it looks like it might be banned. Another thing banned in America.
Yeah, I'm sure Trump's got his executive order ready to sign.
I'm sure he has. Okay, amazing. Well, if anyone's got any questions on the platforms that we haven't covered, then just send us a message or a DM, comment, and we will definitely try and get that answered for you. I really hope that you've enjoyed listening to this podcast episode, and we will catch you another time.
Bye.